Go. Hey guys, this is a really special week with it being the week of Easter. Not because we just have 4 days of schoolwork, but is Easter about this, a bunny? Or is it about hunting Easter eggs? No, neither one of those. The real Easter is about Jesus and what he did for us on the cross. I want you to know that we've talked some about that in our Bible time, but I'm sure some of you wanted to show your parents the place of the skull that we've talked about. So I have a few pictures. Right here shows exactly where Jesus was crucified on the top. And you can see several others. Let me show you some a little closer. It actually looks like a skull. And I have even been there and seen it in person. And it really, truly looks like that. So when somebody says to you, how do you know the Bible is true? I want you to know that I looked it up tonight. It talks about the place of the skull in Matthew chapter 27, verse 33. It talks about the place of the skull in Mark 15, 22. It talks about it in Luke 23, 33 and in John 19, 17. So I think Jesus wanted us to know about this place. It's in every one of the 4 Gospels. Okay, I'm going to read to you from Matthew chapter 27. When morning came, all the chief priests and elders of the people plotted against Jesus to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and they delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, his betrayer, seeing that he had been condemned, was remorseful. He felt bad and brought back those 30 pieces of silver to the chief priest and the elders. And he said, I've sinned by betraying innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? You see to it. Then he threw down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and he hung himself. But the chief priests took the silver pieces and they said, it's not lawful to put them back into the treasury because they are the price of blood. And they consulted together and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Therefore, that field has been called the field of blood to this day. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet by saying, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the value of him who was priced, whom they of the children of Israel priced. So Jeremiah said that a long time ago, and it was fulfilled. And then they gave them to the potter's field as the Lord directed me. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus said to him, it is as you say. And while he was being accused by the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then Pilate said to him, do you not hear how many things they testify against you? But he answered him not one word, so that the governor marveled greatly. Now at the feast, the governor was accustomed to releasing to the multitude one prisoner, whomever they wished. And at that time, they had a notorious or famous prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they gathered together, Pilate asked them, whom do you want me to release to you? Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ. For he knew that they had handed him over because of envy or jealousy. While he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, and she said, "Have nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the multitudes that they should ask for Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor answered and said to them, "Well, which of the two do you want me to release to you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "What then shall I do with this Jesus who is called Christ?" And they all said to him, "Let him be crucified." Then the governor said, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they cried out all the more, saying, "Let him be crucified." When Pilate saw that he could not prevail at all, but rather he was having a rising, he took water and washed his hands before the multitude, and he said, "I am innocent of the blood of that just person. You see to it." And all the people answered and said, "His blood will be on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, and when he had scourged or whipped Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus, and they gathered together around him, and they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him. When they had twisted a crown of thorns, they put it on his head. And they put a reed or a piece of grass in his hand, and they bowed on their knees before him, and they mocked him and made fun of him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Then they spit on him, and they took the reed or the grass from his hand, and they struck him on the head with it. And when they had mocked him, they took his robe off of him, put his own clothes on him, and led him away to be crucified. Now, as they came out, they found a man, Simon, and they compelled him to bear Jesus' cross. And verse 33 says, "And when they had come to a place called Golgotha," that is to say, the place of the skull, "they gave him sour wine mingled with gall to drink. But when he had tasted it, he would not drink. Then they crucified him." Okay, boys and girls, that's just the first part of the Easter story. The good part is yet to come. And the good part is that he didn't stay. They put him in a grave in that field, in a borrowed grave, but he didn't stay there. So many people that have a religion right now serve somebody that's dead, a statue, or a person that's already died. But we don't. We serve a risen Savior. And if you'll read chapter 28, it tells about how Mary, both Marys went to the tomb, and Jesus wasn't there. And they were told, "He's risen. He is not here." And then they met Jesus on the way. And Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brethren to go to Galilee, and there they will see me." So the best part is he is risen, and we serve a risen Savior. And I want you to look right here. This is a picture of his tomb where he was. the stone is rolled away. And if you were to get to go inside, there's a sign that says, "He is not here, for he has risen." What a great thing. Now, I'm going to link an activity for you to make what's called resurrection bread if you want to with your family. And when you get through baking it, it has a marshmallow inside. That melts and it's hollow inside, just like the empty grave. I love you. Happy Easter.